What's going on, everyone? It's Dark Horse back for another DCO video. So, I've been watching everyone churn out all these amazing DPS videos, but what about support roles? The bread and butter, the backbone of the community, right? So, today we're going to start off with my controller, Dark Horse, the legendary controller. Um, let's look at the typical mods. I have, excuse me, I have the replenishing adapter. Throw in a couple weapon combos gives you back power. I have the ultimate supercharge mod. I've got the escalating replenishing. The ultimate accelerated power mod that gives the shield back faster or your supercharge generator faster. The extended supercharge now depends on if you're using scrap. You won't use this. You can put something else in there, but I don't use scrap. I will get the leg mod when I have a chance. The explosive block, that's the get off me bad guys. And because I'm gadgets, I use improved stealth. If you are not gadgets, you can use something else, max damage or something else for that part. Going to my artifacts. Now, me typically, I am not a typical quote unquote buff troll or a power troll. I'm a hybrid. I do a little bit of everything. So I start off with BOP. This one is the supercharge generator. It does damage, debuffs all your targets, and gives out power, right? The Amulet of Rao, the staple of the controller role, it makes your debuff stronger, puts your debuffs on multiple targets, and does damage. The Sinestro Ring, this one is optional for how you play. You could use Tetrahedron instead of this, or something else if you're a buff troll, straight up. But for me, I like it because it gives back supercharge back. It helps give me power and also provides an additional debuff. So with that one, I really don't use scrap because I get enough supercharge back between that and my mods. Now the Brand of Hecate, another optional one. This is one of my favorites. It helps me do a lot of damage. It puts over or damage over time on targets, increases my might, my vitalization, and my might. So I do a lot of nasty damage with this artifact. And last but not least, the Claw. Now, the Claw buffs you and your group, your might, restoration, and dominance, and crit chances. Fantastic artifact, but situational because using this, you no longer have your power push. So anytime you hit your power push, you're just hitting the buff, right? So, like on certain fights, like if say you're fighting, getting ready to fight a Black Hand and Necron, during that little lull when you're waiting for people putting the tubes in, a lot of people like to use Starbolt to try to get their supercharge back. But if you have this on, you can't power push, so it's going to be a struggle to keep their power up. So what I typically do is I swap this out for something else until we're ready to fight. Then I hit my armory so I can get it back. As far as stats go, it all depends on your gear and stuff like that. So we're going to pop over to our allies, right? For me, I do some buffing, so I use John Constantine to help buff the group. Solid ally. For Starfire, I use the battery to help increase my vitalization and my crit chances and all that good jazz. You can use General Zod if you really want to be a buff troll. So you have to level this bad boy up and you give a little bit more might to your group, might and precision to your group. But for me, the last one is one of my favorites. Is John Stewart. Give me those super shields and increases my vitalization while I have my supercharge up. Now, for supercharge shields and things like that, they do go off your stats. So the better stats you have, the more you can do with them. Let's go to my let's go to skill points first. So I go hybrid, right? Then I get all my controller stuff, my crit chances and that. Then I go straight vitalization. And because I have extra skill points, I get the damage buffs, crit chances, and then I throw 100 into dominance to help strengthen my shields, and the rest I throw into might and power, right? Now for my loadout, we're going to go through, I start off with the Bird Blitz to basically debuff all my targets, and the Supercharge Generator. I hit the Brand of Hecate's Blood Moon to do damage and increase my might. Of course, the defib or whatever power push move you have for your character. If you have the claw on, we'll do a buff for your character and your group. Now, always keep a shield on my main loadout. Always will, in case of pickups or I need to go do a mechanic or something. My primary power shielding, I keep on my main loadout. And only optional, because I have it, I use Nemesis Lasso to do extra damage. You do not need this, so don't freak out and think you have to spend all that in-game cash trying to get it, right? Because it's going to bankrupt both of you, right? My second tray, I'm just throwing stuff together, but the primary things I want on here is the secondary shield, right? And then I throw on my pet. Also, I have a secondary power push. So I use Word of Power. You can use Speed Drain or something else right here depending on your movement. But if you don't have that, I use Word of Power. Because there's going to be those situations where you need a pop, because a lot of people are draining power now depending on the level of content. It increases how much you use. So having your supers up is pretty good. Now, controlling is pretty fun. You know, I get out there, I get my stats up, I buff myself, buff the group, and I just keep going. Now, a lot of times, people get caught up in just using powers, but occasionally you want to try to hit your weapon attacks to get that other proc of power. And then my shielding and everything like that, I just throw whatever I want on my second tray. But the main thing I want is a secondary shield and a secondary power supercharge. But that's the gist of it. You know, have fun, mix and match the way you want to. As long as you're giving out power and buffs to your group, you should be fine. I know there's a lot of people using different things. But before I forget, I forgot. You want to have your trinket. Trinket is very important to help you get out a lot of power. Hitting your trinket. Supply drop. Now, it's optional whether you want to use the orbital strike or the henchman or whatever. Sometimes you might want to use psychic depending on you. All that stuff is optional. Like I said, other controllers might use scrap, might use EOG, or the one I haven't leveled up, Tetrahedron, to give out more power. That's up to you. Like I said, controlling. As long as you have the basics down, you can mess around and play. Like I said, get those skill points up, because skill points matter way more for support roles than they do for DPS. So, that's the gist of my troll. Let's go ahead and check out my healer. Now, recently, I just finished out my artifacts for my healer and my tank. I'm waiting to test them out in some other content, but I'm really excited about that. Now, on my electric healer, I have two setups. I have my battle heal, and I have basically my EOG heal. I'll start off with my EOG first. Alright, let's switch this out. So, typical stuff. I get all the healer based. I need to fill that back up. Healer based tactical mods. Now, because I can be a little power hungry, I just threw it in the power efficiency and explosive block and regenerative shielding. So my artifacts right now on this one, I'm using purple healing ray, page of destiny, scrap, EOG, and the orb. I know I just threw it in there. Excuse me. But I kind of like orb. It depends on how you use it. You can't spam it because you will drain people, your troll especially. You can swap this out with something else. But I like it. Of course, I keep my trinket on here, supply drop. If you want, you can use a trinket pet and your henchman. But for the most part, that's a basic setup. If you can, I would suggest everybody always try to level up the bottled city soda and go from there. Let's go to allies. So for this one, I'm just throwing Black Adam because I had it. Static Shock, I use that for the crit magnitude chances. It's pretty good. And the Flash, I use the Flash heal. Anytime I use a group heal, it provides supercharge back to group members. So that's pretty nice. You probably can mix and match some of these allies up, but these are the best for me. I know you can use different ones if you're like nature or something like that. But let's go to my traits, my loadout. I stay on the biocap. My typical group, you always want to have an individual heal priority heal, a group heal, and one that's actually a group heal. Right, I always keep a supercharge on. I just threw that on there, and another quick heal. For my secondary loadout, I'm going to use like typical healing powers I wouldn't generally use. So I'm going to use like a Electrogenesis. I always throw on a shield. I like having shields. I have 2 on there actually. I rotate between if I need to. Throwing on extra heals just because. And my other supercharges, right? These are like my emergency. Oh crap, we're in trouble. I want to use 10k. That's not bad. Now let's go to what's it called? Let's go to Spartan Targets real quick. Now, next thing I'm going to show you guys is my battle heal. Now, for my battle heal, I have done raids with it on Elite. I haven't done Elite Plus. I think I did do Elite Plus once. It was tough because I didn't have my stuff leveled up. But as far as my stats and stuff, it's all the same on the breakdown. But my artifacts, I use Purple Healing Array, Page, Clarion, Demon's Fang, and Venom Rift Dispenser I threw on there. Hey, welcome. Now, my allies might be the same. Yeah, Black Adam, Static, the Flash. But my loadout is it has a few changes. So, of course, the Biocap, Individual Heal, Group Heal, Arc Lightning, and Wired. Wired is what I use to activate my Demon's Fang and Clarion, right? Throw on a Robot Sidekick. Electrogenesis is an extra heal over time. Of course, my 2 shields and my 2 supercharges. So for this one, Electrify, hit my Wired, and I go through, automatically pop a Clarion. So when that is down, I could pop Flux, right? When that goes down, I can pop the White Lantern Shield. And with the White Lantern Shield, if it when it explodes, it does a heal. So it's a lot of stuff you can play around with and get a few different breakdowns for a loadout. But find out what works for you. You're keeping the group alive. You're doing a good job, right? As long as, help your troll out. Try not to be too power hungry. But I'm enjoying the changes. Definitely have a lot to work on to try to get comfortable with some of these builds. But for the most part, we're knocking it out. Now, the piece de resistance. We're going over to my tank. Let me get out of combat. This will be a little faster. There we go. Now, this guy, I've been working on for a little bit. I just finished out his artifacts the other day. Let's go to Pharaoh. I still have to knock out my dailies and stuff, so I'll get off in a little bit. Now, for this guy, typically, I did not use a supercharge on my old loadout because, I felt like I didn't need it. But I did want one. So, with the 2 trays, it allows me to have both. Best of both worlds. So, starting off with the typical tank tactical mods, right? And you can mix and match certain things out depending on what power set you have, but that's just what I get. So I have Red Tornado, Manacles of Force, Mystic Symbols of the 7. Then I have Lazarus Pit, that emergency save, right? And then for now, I'm testing out Scrap, right? So I can get my supercharge better. Let's go with, I was going to use Everyman, but we'll see about that one. For allies, I am working with my boo, Nubia. She gives out a heal and knocks down. The Flash to get my supercharge back. And Superman for the group breakout, right? Now, sometimes I thought about using Wonder Woman for the Amazonian bracelets. We'll see about that. I can bounce back and forth. It all depends on your power type. You can use other stuff, Superboy, Mr. Freeze, things like that, Lex Luthor. It depends on your preference. But as far as my loadout goes, let's get there. I start off with Magma Vortex, Stoke Flames, Backdraft, basically a pool. Use these 2 as pools. My breakout, I have a supercharge and the group pool. My second, I have Inferno. I have another Burning Termination. It's another heal slash shield. I have a life shield just thrown on there because I can. Phase dodge. Nova really don't need, and I have a single target pool. So basically, it allows you to mix and match and do all types of stuff. Now, I typically don't throw in DPS moves because it's not my focus on tanking, especially if I'm going to Elite or Elite Plus. So you can do that if you want to, and good luck. But skill point wise, now especially for tanking, the more you have, the better you'll do. Excuse me. So I go hybrid, right? I go down, I get my healing crits because I'm fire or basically tanking anyway. Then I put the bulk into health. I throw 100 into dominance, and I'm throwing a bunch into restoration to help out with my healing slash shields. So for the most part, tanking right now is pretty fun, and a lot of times, like I like to switch between the bars. Like when stuff's on cooldown, I'll hit my bars. I can always pretty much pop a shield between phase dodge. It's a lot going on for support roles right now, and it's pretty strong. So make sure you get out there, build your builds the best you can, and just test them out for the most part. Enjoy, get those skill points up, work on that gear, and I will catch you guys later. Body Bag Gang.